Manastu Space has raised $3 million in a pre-Series A round led by Indian Angel Network. IAN investors such as Jaideep Mehta, Sanjeev Bajaj and Nitin Zamre participated in the funding round. Now, the funding will help Manastu Space develop its green propulsion system for satellite as well as scale its business. Joining us now to discuss this further are Ashtesh Kumar, the co-founder and CTO of Manastu Space, and Padmaja Ruparel, the co-founder of India Angel Network. Also with me, my colleague Shruti Mishra. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Ashtesh, let me start with you. Talk to us about what you are developing. Elaborate for our viewers how the environmentally friendly microsatellite thruster and fuel combination is unique versus other ones.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for having us on the show. So Manastu Space is a space logistic and safety company which is working to save trillion-dollar space assets. So just like on road, when we have many automobiles running, what happens? They collide with each other, they run out of propellants, they run out of fuels, and they will break down in between. So then is the time when you need various services, like you have your towing trucks, you have your refueling stations. So similar thing is what is happening in space. In last 10 years, more than 60,000 satellites have been launched, which has created millions of space debris. And which is a big threat for our upcoming space industry, big threat for the assets in space out there. So what we are developing is currently what we are developing is a green propulsion system, which will help these satellites maneuver their way out of this when they are in a collision course with other debris. So that is the first product, and over that we are planning to build in future refueling station, deorbiting stations, so which will help refuel these satellites when they are in orbit, so that their life can be increased, their cost utilization can be made better.
All right, Padmaja, quickly coming to you now. Like Ashtesh just explained, Manastu is bringing a complementary product to the commercial space ecosystem of India. What else made you bet big on Manastu? Also, 2023 has been a milestone year for space tech in India. Talk to us about your bet on India's space tech in general as well.
So first of all, thank you for having me on the show. And I want to really congratulate Ashtesh for Manastu. The guys have done a phenomenal job. See, the way I look at it, Shruti, you're absolutely right. The space industry is sort of opening up. I mean, between ISRO and InSpace and Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan, Chandrayaan, and now the one going to the sun, I think all of these have really created the next barrier or breaking the next barrier. Today, if you look at India's space economy, it's at about 8.4 billion, which is contributing only to about 2% of the global space economy. InSpace itself has projected that over the next 10 years, India should be grabbing about 8% of global share, which is actually a 5-time growth with 44 billion of the space economy that we are looking at. So number one is that the potential that we're looking at where companies' innovation can breed is huge just in this country. And we have, of course, proven our capital efficiency through the ISRO launches. That's number one. Number two, I think before Manastu, a number of companies have sort of led the way, and Manastu is filling in a very valuable gap for a whole lot of companies. Just to give you an example, Dhruva Space is a company which is a full stack platform, right? It has ground stations, launching missions, and then in satellite space, which is sector agnostic, application agnostic. Manastu really fits in so well. As Ashtesh said just now, it's building products which actually help to avoid collision, to actually help green propulsion engines to be built. And as the space gets more crowded, I think India is building its own ecosystem, and these startups are actually leading the way.
Absolutely. So I'm going to have to cut you there because we're running out of time. But we take your point there. We'll just come back to you in a second. But Ashtesh, if I could bring you back into the conversation, could you just explain to us very quickly how much more efficient and affordable will the microsatellite thruster be? And take us through the fund allocation plans.
Yeah, so definitely. So the current system which are operating, so the propulsion system which we are building, currently it is on ground development phase, but once it's vacuum tested, we are estimating that this will be as much as 50% higher efficiency than the current systems which are into place. And the current fund what we have raised, the immediate plan is to get this system flight tested, because as we know that in space, unless anything is flight tested, no customer is going to buy it. So that's the major plan with this fundraise, and the major spendings which will be getting the right manpower, getting the right infrastructure, testing services, manufacturing services in place, so that we can prepare for meeting some of our LOIs and future
All right.
customer orders.
Ashtesh, very quickly, how soon will we see a test flight for the new product? You mentioned that you're also in works in developing new products and creating infrastructure there. Also, very quickly, some very key contracts you've got with the Indian Defence. You've got Latitude, a French startup, and IDEX. Explain to us and elaborate on those partnerships and the rollouts as well.
Definitely. So currently we are planning for the first flight testing in next 12 to 14 months. That's the target. And with regard to the various customers, so 2 years back we got our first contract from DRDO to build the same propulsion system for Indian defense satellites. So that's the first customer. The second customer is a French launch vehicle customer who is doing a demonstration with us, in which their upper stages of their launch vehicle will be powered by our propulsion system. And recently, we got a contract from Indian Defence Space Agency to where our propulsion system will maneuver their microsatellites in space. So these are the main three customers who we are working with. And apart from this, there are around 10 customers in pipeline who have given us LOIs of close to 100 systems once the system is flight tested. So that's the rough plan.
So 10 partnerships in the pipeline as well. Yes. Padmaja, we have 30 seconds left and we'd like to end with you. So if you could quickly tell us, IN Fund 1 has seen some great exits, over 10x returns with an IRR of 105%. If you could quickly tell us about your exit strategies and if IN is actively looking at more investments in space tech.
So let me take the second question first, as we're talking about space tech. I think, yes, absolutely. IN Fund and IN itself both are very, very upbeat about space. All the government opening up in IDEX, DRDO, and what we can do globally, I think it's very, very exciting, and the opportunity is just waiting to be sort of leveraged, number one. On our exit strategy, yes, we've absolutely done phenomenal exits and returned monies to investors, and we will continue to do that. Our exit strategy is that over the next 12 to 24 months, we should be out of Fund 1, and that's what we're looking at. And I think what we're really looking at, we look at investors as customers, and it's absolutely imperative for us not only to return monies but give returns, and that's what our strategy is in each of our companies, portfolio companies, to achieve that overall for our investors.
So great.
And that's how we constructed our portfolio.
Absolutely.
To be able to do that.
Yeah, so great returns over there. Padmaja, Ashtesh, thank you so much for joining us on the show, but we're completely out of time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on.